Hey friends, let's begin with new video on new topic called visual calculations. Awesome. February release of Power BI came with the visual calculations. A lot of buzz, a lot of things going on. I'm pretty sure you guys all seen it already. I don't want to go into the details of all that fun stuff, but I'm gonna tackle one specific topic in this video using this visual calculations and going to look into how some of the functions, especially expand function, works. But before I go further, when the new Windows functions came out, DAX functions came out, I did a lot of videos on those ones. I think there is a playlist. Do check out that playlist because this is a using those Windows function as well, like kind of sugar coated on top of what Windows functions has to offer. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna talk about one specific use case and look into the functionality of these visual calculation functions. Okay, before we go forward, let's take a look at the documentation quickly and see what it has to say. Here in the documentation, I will share the link of this if you haven't seen it already. Very well explained. Again, keep in mind this feature is still in preview. It talks about like user visual calculations and how it works and a lot of things. Probably I will do a lot more videos. Some of these things are pretty straightforward, well explained here, first, last, moving average and all this stuff. So today we're going to talk about these two functions, expand and expand all. I'm pretty sure collapse and collapse all is going to be opposite of it. But I'm more looking into expand and expand all at this point of time. What it says is expand is calculation is evaluated at a lower level of the axis. Okay, expand all is calculation is evaluated at the leaf level of the axis. Okay, so how does this works in our whole scheme of things? So let's get to Power BI and take a look. What I have here is a pretty standard data model. I have a product, date dimension, and sales table. I have one measure here, distinct count products, and if we look at the definition of that measure, it is just a distinct count of the products being sold within a year, right? This measure can work with anything, right? For example, I'm looking at the years. So in 2017 we sold 10 different products, and 2018 40, and so forth, so on. If we copy this and I bring, let's say, country, and and if we see this, how many products are sold by country in Australia in 158, in Canada 151, across all the data set, right? There's no filter context, nothing as such in there. Now one thing you probably not notice on this particular one, but here you already seen the total is 158. Now it is correct, right? Unique products sold across our in the sales table is 158, but the argument, is a lot of things going on and people talk about this. Okay, this need to be a sum of each row. Now in this particular case, this looks at every total will be always 158 because that's at the total level, unique 158 products being sold in our sales table. That's what it is. Now this one is actually the total is 288. I just manually did it and checked it, and this is showing 158. Very hard to find out this is correct or not correct, right? That's the first thing. Here it is very obvious because each row is almost in 150ish kind of range, and now total is 158, so very obvious, but not in this one, right? You have to manually check it whether this total is correct or not. But the purpose of this video is not to going into the measure totals and all that's non-additive measures total and all that stuff, but trying to understand the expand function, and also can that help us getting the correct total for the non-additive measures as well, right? So can we kill two birds with one stone? So let's do it. What I'm going to do is, if you don't know, visual calculation is in a preview. You have to go in options and turn that feature on, then only it will show up. So However, where it will show up when you select in a visual, since it's a visual level functionality calculation, I would say. If you're on a visual, then the new calculation is I think turned on, and if I go out of it, it's disabled, right? So now once I'm on this one, what I wanted to do is, as I said, I want to use the expand function. So I go in a new calculation, and I'm gonna, because we have a to expand function, I'm gonna name this calculation as expand, only expand, right? Because that's expand function we're gonna use. So if we look at the expand function, what it is, expand, and then it says expression, right? Now expression could be anything. We're gonna say sum of our distinct count products, because our goal is to get the sum at the total of all the products. And then next thing is on axis, right? Axis is whether it's in rows, and there's a lot of stuff. So we're going to look into the rows right now, that we want the expand and sum this and on the rows. And there's one more parameter to this, which is an n parameter. I couldn't find any details for this, but I'm not going to use that right now. So I'm just gonna, let's use these two right now and look at it, what happens. So if we look at this now, it gives us the preview pretty cool immediately, and unfortunately we cannot format it yet. Those limitations, those will get fixed over time. We don't need to worry about that right now. So 10, 40, 90, at the each year level, the count is correct, distinct count is correct, and then at the total level it's 288, right? This is actually the right number. Without doing anything, I already got a correct total, and also at the row level, at the year level, and also at the grand total level, if that is my requirement. Again, this is if the requirement is like this, right? And what we did here is one more thing is editing. Calculation editing was a little bit challenging for me as well. I was expecting that I will click on this one and it will show up, but not. You have to go back to our values pane here, click on expand, and then edit calculation. Again, these things will improve over time. I don't want to too picky about all that stuff, right? And now the next thing is so what we did is we said, okay, sum that particular measure. Now one more thing, right? You can actually aggregate the measure, because this is a calculation. If I try to write another measure and say sum of my distinct count products, distinct count product is already a measure, so I can't apply sum on top of that, but here I can do it. Keep in mind, distinct count product is a measure. So basically, because this is a calculation, it's not a measure. Keep this in mind. This is not a measure. This is a calculation on the visual. So if you are using a measure in the visual, or you can actually apply more, you can add more measures to it, or like in this case, we add the sum measure to our distinct count product. So you have to think a little bit differently. And previously, if we have to use a measure and apply another aggregation on top of that, we have to use sum x or average x, or all those min x, max x kind of function. Here I can simply apply sum function on top of my measure. So that's nothing to do with the expand function. That's just visual calculation. So now what is the n function? Again, this is an optional, which says, because I think in the square bracket means an optional. So if I give like any number to this, and if I go 0, what happens? So I get an error. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. If I do 1, do I get anything? Okay, that worked. So what about if I do 2? So nothing happens, right? So when I said 0, so that's not allowed, but it works. But where this will get used, right? We will check that out. Okay, so that's expand. Now let's look at the expand all, right? There's two functions, expand and expand all. So what is expand all? Let's go to new calculation, and I'm going to call it expand all. And again, we use expand all, and actually I can use another the already visual calculations what I have. I can reuse that. Oh, that's interesting. But anyhow, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to sum distinct count products, and then again, if you look at that, it has an expression and x's only, right? It does not have the n in this, where there's no parameter for n, so it means it's a little bit different than what the expand is. So go rows here, so let's do that. Okay, we got the same number, which perfectly fine, I guess. At this point of time, does not matter if I have a single axis, or in my hierarchy on my axis is a single value, in this case a year, then both the functions give the same result. Okay, so that's good. All right, so the total is fine. It makes sense. So what happened is, if I add a country to my hierarchy here, okay, now all of a sudden things has changed. For expand, my total is 288, but at the row level this is correct. This is changed: 13, 156, 325, whatever that, we will see what those numbers are, and 224, and in this case this is 1329 in expand all case, and that seems like a correct number. 6 to 800, 11, 12, so that seems like 1329. So these numbers are the same with expand all, but the total is not 288. Okay, so that's something interesting. So what is happening here? So first of all, we have to see where we are getting these number 13 and 156 and all that's fun stuff, which was not there before, because if we removed, think about if I removed country, and those numbers were not there, those were the exact number how it was in the distinct count, because we have only one level in hierarchy. What I'm going to do, I'm going to keep this on the side and create another one so that we can compare with the original one and add a country to this one. Okay, so this turned out to be 156, 13. So all the numbers for expand and expand all changed, and they are different numbers. So what's happening here? So let's go to the next level here in hierarchy. So if we look at in a hierarchy, what is happening is it is basically now summing up at 2018. It is summing up all the next level, the distinct values of those ones. So if we add this up, I think that 2070 should be easy. So 6, 7, 8, 9, and 4, 13. So this is giving the correct number. The previously this worked out because there was no next level, right? So what it is giving is, it's giving us the next level sum of next level number, because as we said sum on, keep in mind why we're getting sum is because on expand we said sum of the distinct count. So it is going to the next level and it is giving us the sum 6, and that's what it is working. So this is perfectly fine, and that's what it is doing for everything. And but in this one the total is not correct. I guess the reasoning behind that is because at the total level there is no next level to it, right? In the year we have a hierarchy of country, and then that's what it is giving us the sum. But when it comes to total, it is just the total of the unique values across the year, which is similar to what we have here, right? So but this one works and the total is correct, and the reasoning behind that is, let's go back to the documentation. So calculation is evaluated at the leaf level of the axis. I get it goes to the most granular level in the in our hierarchy. So that's why this is working. Okay, so this is good. So I mean, for the total perspective, then if I'm non-additive bias, then it does that means is I need to use expand all the time, or I can't use expand. Then what's the use case of expand? Right. So that's that question comes out. But let's add one more in this. Add another level to this one. Okay. So here you go. Now what I'm going to do is, remove this one. And last this is our first one, and now put it back here, and we copy this one, and let's add another level to this one. So another level is postal code, and see what happens, how it is changed different. So if you look at that in 2017, all these numbers did not change from our version 2, right? They are the same number, but this one is immediately changed. So let's look at that, how it's changed. So if we look at that, the numbers are 6, 7, 8, 9, 14, 5, and 6, 9, 8. So this is 14. This is correct, but this is not anymore. And the reasoning behind that is, if you look at that, what it is doing is, in 2017 it is summing up for the next level, and the next levels is Australia countries, not the postal code. So it is only summing up Australia, Canada, France, United Kingdom, and United States, which is turned out to be 13, right? But when we are looking at the Australia, then it is going to the next level and summing that up. What is next level for that is a postal code, right? So if we look at that, the postal code is now, this gives the sum. In Australia, it is giving us the sum of the postal code level. But when it is at the year, it is in expand function, because it is always looking at the next level, and it is giving us the sum of the countries. But whereas expand all is always working, what it is doing is it's going to the next level, to the lowest granularity, and then summing this up. So it's a 5 here, which is correct, and sum up to the 5. So if we look at the country level, both the numbers are correct. It's only when the next level or upper level in the hierarchy, that's where it goes wrong. So this one is correct. So this is what the numbers look like. Okay, now the question is, so should we be always using expand all, or like if the goal is to get the total correctly, right? Again, I'm not saying that is our goal, but we're exploring here. But again, in this video, I will not go too deep into when we use expand over expand all. But what I wanted to know is one more thing. We saw a couple of things, like how expand and expand all works, and how when we add columns to the hierarchy, the total changes and all that fun stuff happens. But the one thing which we want to find out, what is that n parameter in expand all? How is that does that get used, right? So if we go to edit calculation, so when I go to expand, we don't have any n right now. So let's say we do it 1, and let's see how does this changes here on our total. So nothing changes. If we look at that, 1356, 325, so same numbers, nothing changed. Let's go back and edit calculation and make it 2. Click. Aha! Now the number all of a sudden changed. Now it's getting the same number as the expand all. So what does that means is, you are basically giving the level of the hierarchy in the depth, like which column you want to sum, right? So what it is doing is, now we told it, when we are the country level, go 2 level down, I guess. First is the Australia as the country level, and then second is the postal code level. So that's why these numbers are now all of a sudden, they start looking correct, right? So whereas this was node 14 before, if we don't have any, I guess the default value is 1, so it's always giving us the next. So this is giving us 13. That the total is wrong. 6, 7, 8, 9 plus 5, 14. It's supposed to be 14, but the reason why it is 13 again, because it is summing up the next level, which is country, and that is was 6, 7, 8, 9, and 4, 13. That's how it is coming up to 13. So what does that means is, the node level, or that n level, is telling us, okay, in the hierarchy, at what level you're going to sum up, right? When I'm at this level, go sum up at the postal code level. So let's one more thing, let's do that. Can I go level 3? Will it give an error or do nothing? Oh, look at that at level 3. So the level 3 automatically, it fixed everything, even if it fixed the total, right? So depending on the level of the hierarchies you guys have, it fixed the total. Right now at the total level, it is looking at all the leaf levels. So one more thing, can I go further down? 4. It doesn't give the error, but it doesn't do anything. But what does that means is, if I go after postal code, I add the city. Do we have another column from which I can use? Let's go into geography and try to use state. Maybe put state above postal code. So what happens here now? Let's see. So we have a 14th. That's all. So let's go back to our expand function. And right now it is at the 4th level. It's correct because if we do it, because now we have the 4th depth in the hierarchy, which is postal code. So if I go to the 3rd level, so what it is going to give me at the state level, whatever the distinct count is, and so forth, so on. So I guess the n is really critical depending on how you want to calculate your how you want to make the calculations. And but for expand all does not matter. As soon as I add new column in the hierarchy, it automatically corrects itself. Like as you can see, if we remove a postal code, it goes automatically go to 4187. If I add postal code, it automatically go to 20,000 because it goes to the lowest granularity. Whereas in expand function, I have to tell what, if I don't give anything here, it is always going to look at the next level in the hierarchy. In this case, it's 2017 is looking at Canada, or sorry, all the countries, and when we are at the Australia level, it is looking at the state level data. So that's I think that's the functionality what n brings us. And so I guess I think I love it. This will be very useful. You know, now I can see when I will use expand and when I will not use expand, or when I will use expand all, right? So there's going to be a couple of decisions to make what you wanted to do. So what we're going to do is in next video, I think in this video is going to be too much to pack in one video. In next video, I will showcase which one to use when, right? When you use expand with the n parameter, when you use expand all, where those will be used, right? So stay tuned and make sure to subscribe my channel. Until next video on these visual calculations, I'm super excited about it. I'll make sure hit the bell icon and leave your valuable comments, right? A lot more going on, big buzzword, visual calculations. I'm doing it as you know, I never used it before. This is my first use, and this is what I just shared with you what I learned. I could be completely wrong, but I think that's what it looked like. Anyhow, your feedback is very valued and very welcome. Please leave your comments. Thanks and have a great day. Until next video, bye for now.